big mistake that a lot of investors do is they go in and then they sideline the founders. You know, with our founders, we say, what do you love to do? Well, I love to do X, Y, and Z. I don't really like any of this. Well, then don't do any of that. Let's have you do this every day so that your superpower is that. So we really try to get, bolster up that for them. Got great relationships with our founders. The thing that drives me right now is getting to build these founders' dreams and having them see their exits.
That fires you up.
Fires me up.
So welcome back to Case Studies. I'm here with my friend Andrew Smith, CEO, founder of Savory. But you've kind of done everything. Like
done a lot.
When you go back kind of over the course of your career, and specifically in food and beverage, I don't know anybody that's better in the world personally at that industry with as many concepts as you've been exposed to than you. And so I'm fascinated. We're investors in a, kind of an adjacent, portfolio of, assets that are similar industry. And, so I'm fascinated to hear kind of your experience like today and the macroeconomic today, and even just trends and where you see the industry going. But more than that, just excited to just dive in, just hear your story. I mean,
yeah, I didn't start that way. I didn't start in food and beverage. It's wild.
Go back from the beginning. Where's home? Where's, when you're really getting it started, kind of let's go back to the origins.
But born and raised in Chicago.
Okay.
So I was born on the North Shore, a town called Evanston.
Okay.
My father is from Elko, Nevada, and my mom is from here, Ogden area. And so they got married. My father was at Weber, and then he wanted to go to dental school. So he went out to Chicago to go to Northwestern and stayed there with the family. I have 5 siblings, and so we all were raised in Chicago. Was a dentist and had a practice right on Michigan Avenue. If you've been to Chicago,
oh, yeah.
He was right on Magnificent Mile right there. And also was an associate dean at the dental school. So he was a dean at Northwestern.
So he was a force.
He was a force there, and people knew him. And one of the things that I saw when I was growing up too is that he was a forensic dentist. So he did, the CSI stuff that's kind of fun and cool that we watch on TV, and you're like, oh, I want to watch this. Who done it? He was doing that.
What?
So when I was growing up,
that's
I was
crazy.
Watching, yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, I hear dentist, and I think
just looking at your teeth and doing implants,
like kids, and
No, he did it all, and he was busy. And I watched him do high profile cases. As I was a kid, he was working on the Jeffrey Dahmer case and the Ted Bundy cases.
Oh, wow. Stuff. So his dentistry was way different.
Way different. Yeah. I mean, he did practice, and then he did, the professor thing at Northwestern, but he also loved the forensics and the CSI stuff. So, when people go down on a plane and there's, nothing to really identify, there are teeth.
Because the teeth are just what? Stronger?
They're the strongest. The enamel's the strongest in the whole body.
Yeah, that's what lives on.
Yeah. So I grew up watching my father do that, and I was so impressed. The one thing I knew though, Casey, I couldn't do it because I didn't like blood.
It wasn't.
It's just I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It was gross to me. I remember seeing some cases, pictures on his office desk that I can still see him in my head because it just bothers me.
Yeah.
And to see what humanity can do to others it was bothersome to me.
I mean, that's so unique. Even just thinking about it. I've never thought about like coming at crime and coming at, these mysteries from that angle.
Oh yeah.
From like the dentist, because you're really like part of law enforcement. You know what I mean? Like you're like a key.
I remember one time he said, well, maybe you should do something like this because it's always needed in an up and down market. I mean, you and I have felt cycles, right? And for him, he's like, I mean, I'm always needed.
I don't feel cycles.
Yeah, I don't feel cycles. And I'm like, I just can't do it. And I remember one time he's like, well, come out to one of these crime scenes and see if you can do it. I'm like, Dad, I can't do it. So I went to this crime scene, put on the code that said CSI on it and had this camcorder, holding it and acting like I was part of the team. And just what I saw in that situation and that
so he was full blown like, he was
in it. Worked at the coroner's office and stuff. So,
man, what a crazy career.
Yeah, it was a crazy career. And my older brother followed in his footsteps, became a dentist. He's a dentist here in Salt Lake now too, but he followed in his footsteps. My 2 older sisters, one of them was going to become a hygienist and then got married and never finished that. But they all kind of followed my father's footsteps. And I always knew early on, I'm like, I just can't do that.
Yeah.
But one thing I knew is I had a skill to just talk to people. I liked presenting to people. I never had any fear to get up in front of people and talk. And so I'm like, got to do something where I'm just working with people or running something. I knew that was what I was.
You're going to be an entrepreneur.
I don't know. I mean, when I was younger, my dad wasn't an entrepreneur, even though as I look back now, I think my dad was kind of an entrepreneur. He was
Pretty
building this forensic.
entrepreneurial.
Yeah, oh yeah. He was building this forensic team. He had a mass disaster team. So when a plane would go down, he would have all of them across the country come and he would assemble it and identify all the bodies. So it was kind of entrepreneurial. But I don't know if in my mind I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't have a lot of entrepreneurs in my life. My mom was a stay-home mom, piano teacher. And so for me, I didn't really understand what that even meant.
Yeah. But we're driven.
Yeah. I would say the thing that I learned from my father, he passed away a long time ago, but he taught me that the grit and the tenacity that it takes to take care of a family, you do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I did learn from my father.
You always saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that I saw too, just as a good father, I try to emulate him in his name because I miss him, is that, he was busy. He was always doing something, but I always felt his love. And it was interesting because when he was around, we mattered for the time that he was around us. He would drop things and he would focus on us. And
he was present.
He was present. On Sundays, we grew up as an LDS family in Chicago, which most of my friends were Jewish and Catholics and Protestant, and I didn't know any different. We just were all different. And my father was active in leadership in the church there too, so he was very busy with that. But we would literally drop everything on Sundays. And whether you think it's right or wrong, he would say, we're going to go see a movie and go to dinner on Sundays because that was his time with his family.
Kind of ahead of his time.
Oh, yeah. He was way ahead of his time because don't we just do that now normally?
I like that's an evolution for me because like culturally for me, that was not the case.
That was not the case, yeah. Not for a lot of people around us.
Yeah, I grew up in, northern Utah, small community, very limited travel or exposure. And for us, Sunday was
it was sacred.
Tight.
Yeah, it was tight. You can only do a few things.
Sacred, probably the right word, but it was more structured. Like
it was probably a better word, structured.
Yeah, like
you do this, you don't do this.
But honestly, that was always something that like I didn't like.
Neither did I.
It didn't make sense to me. Like it didn't feel authentic, and I didn't really have the words to put it together then. But you see it now, you kind of get older and you just say like, how do I want to go live my life? And it's like, what matters is actually connecting with your family, like wherever you're at on that. And it's interesting that was something that he just intuitively got.
He got that it's time with my family.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing nothing wrong if what I'm doing is investing in my family. And so we did that all growing up, and it was my favorite time of the week. But I felt of his love, but I saw the grit that it took to be successful. He was a successful doctor, forensic dentist. But at the end of the day too, we didn't live lavishly. He wasn't a lavish guy. We didn't go without, but he worked hard. I mean, living in the city with 5 kids, I mean, that's tough and it's expensive. Even back in the 80s, it was expensive. Yep. So we didn't go without. We lived a great life. We had what we wanted, but it wasn't a rich and famous life.
Yeah. Upper middle class.
Yeah, upper middle. And I didn't know any different because it's like, we're happy, we're comfortable, we go on vacations and stuff. And I know others couldn't do that. So I feel blessed to have lived that way. But I didn't ever live I didn't live the way that I've lived in years of my life, right? Or my kids when I was younger.
How'd you end up in Utah?
So because we had some ties here, we would come out, every couple of years and visit cousins. So I had cousins in Alpine.
Okay.
We had cousins up in Ogden. And so we would come out, visit them. And I always liked it being out here. It was so different. I mean, it's so different than Chicago. Living in the city versus being in Utah is very different.
Yeah.
And so I liked the way it was a little bit more low key, slower paced. I loved the beauty. When I came to time where I was going to do something, go to school, I could go to Northwestern and it would be paid for.
Kind of have your ticket.
Yeah, I have a ticket. You walk in.
Exceptional school.
It's exceptional.
Yeah.
But knowing my personality, and maybe you'll see this a little bit more as we talk, Casey, but I was like, I got to be my own guy, right?
You want to kind of...
I want to pay my own path.
Yeah, you want to go.
I didn't want to be at a school where it's like, oh, you're Dean Smith's son.
Yeah.
Right? Even though I revered my father, I just wanted to pave my own path.
Yep. So
I actually moved out here. So I'm going to give it a shot out here. So I moved out 1992 and came out here, and I've been in Utah ever since, even though I did take a stint and go back to Chicago for about a year to work because I thought I wanted to go back to Chicago.
Yeah.
was like, no, I miss Utah, so I'm going to come back. But I've been here since 1992.
Coming to school out here?
Came out to school here, yeah.
Where did you go to school?
Well, it's kind of all over the place because I was an entrepreneur. So I started BYU one semester.
Yep.
Then I went to UVSC.
Yep.
Because I liked the schedule better and I liked teachers better, actually, because they were actually teachers that were doing what I was being taught. I liked that better. But then I had to work. I was putting myself through. I didn't actually ask my parents for money.
Yeah.
They didn't pay my way. So I worked. I worked full time and took a full 18 credits every semester.
So I think about this a lot, and I think about this with being a dad and also being a dad with resources.
Mm-hmm.
Like what a gift that your parents gave you that they didn't do it for you.
Yeah.
Because like you think about that muscle that you get from having to figure it out. And it kind of scares me as a dad because I'm like, it's way harder not to pay.
It's
than
way
to pay.
harder.
Like the easy thing is just
to take care of the problem.
To
move
do
to the
it.
next thing. Right.
It's actually something we're early enough that I haven't reconciled. Like how do I do that in the best way to have my kids get the resilience and get because I was saying, my paying for school was not optional. You know, like
you had to do it or
parents
you
didn't have
go.
it. But I think that's the reason that I succeeded later on in life is I got those muscles, you know, and that kind of figure it out muscle, you know, just figuring out how to be.
And it is a muscle, right?
Be resourceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I remember there was one time I was short for rent. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't get enough in my money. I had to buy some.
Yeah.
And I remember calling my parents and just said, hey, is there any way you could help me this month? And they're like, well, of course. What do you need? And I'm like, $275. And I remember back in 1993, I think, they sent me a check in the mail for $275. And that was the last money I ever asked from my parents.
It's kind of a great day when you never ask your parents for money again.
It's amazing. Feels great.
I remember I still distinctly remember the first time.
Yeah, I remember.
And I'd gone out and done a summer, sold satellites, Dish Network and DirecTV door to door. And I had a car that had some issue. And it was a big bill. It was $1,500.
Yeah, it's big.
And I had the money to be able to pay for it and didn't call my parents and paid for my own car bill. And I don't know why. I haven't thought about that in 22 years.
So
but just you bringing it up, I was like, that actually was like pretty empowering experience to go down and write in the check. It was a check. Hurt. I'm like, that's a ton of money.
Yeah.
But I wasn't calling mom. I wasn't calling dad.
Self-sufficient, right?
Finally. It was like empowering, you know. There's some like dignity to be able to do it yourself, you know.
Yeah, it felt good to be able to do that through college. Like I said, I went back and did a stint in Chicago because I thought, you know, maybe I'm more of a city guy than here.
Yeah.
I liked it out here, but I saw things here that I didn't know if I loved. And so I went back to Chicago, worked for this really cool company called Sears and Roebuck.
You went to Sears. That's a Chicago company.
It's a Chicago
for sure.
company. Yeah. That was before some of the people that are listening. That's before Amazon.
Yeah.
It was the Amazon.
Sears was it.
It was it. And that was the campus. And so I worked for Sears for a year. Thought I was falling in love with a girl. Thought I was going to marry her. I was young. And I'm like, what am I doing? And so I broke up with her and was calling me back. So I came back here.
Yeah.
So I back here back in 1994. Went to school again, worked, going to school at the same time. So I powered through it for a couple of years. You know, my older siblings, my brother and my two sisters, and I have a younger brother, they had all gone on missions. And I didn't necessarily want to go. Initially, I was like, I don't think it's for me.
Yeah.
And fell in love with a gal, Southern California girl, blonde-headed Southern California girl, and put a ring on her finger. And we were talking about marriage plans and where we were going to get married. And just out of the blue one day, she's just like, well, I can't marry you until you go on a mission. And I was just like, what are you talking about? We're getting married. And she's like, no, we're going to wait.
You had an engagement ring.
Oh, no, we were engaged. And I thought, you know, if any time God has gotten involved in my life indirectly, it was that moment where he hit her over the head and said he needs to get on a mission. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared mentally. And so I'm like, okay, I was upset with her. I left her in that room, walked out that room. And for about 2 weeks, I didn't talk to her. And I'm like, well, I really want the girl. So if I have to go on a mission to get the girl, maybe I'll do it. So I remember sitting down, getting ready for it and filling out my papers and sending it in and got my mission call 4 months later.
And so go on a mission. Where do you go on a mission?
Dominican Republic.
Okay.
Yeah, same place that several people around here have gone. It's a great mission. It's hot. Super hot.
Todd was missionary there, right?
Too.
Yeah.
We've collaborated on that a couple times, but went to the Dominican Republic, 96, 97, 98. I was a little older when I went.
Yeah.
Just because I had delayed. But man, it was hard for a lot of reasons that probably wouldn't talk about here, but it was tough. But I'm glad I went, and it changed my life. And it got me on the right path for me personally, just the way I thought about life, what was important, and what I wanted to accomplish.
When you look, this one that I'm interested in, when you look back at your life, how much different would your life be if you wouldn't have gone on that mission?
180 degrees. I don't even think I'd be close to as grounded as I feel like I am now. I mean, I wasn't always grounded, but I wouldn't have been as grounded. I don't know if I would have been as focused on family.
Yeah.
Because at that time, Casey, I was like, I'm starting to see clearly in my mind, I'm really good at sales.
Yeah.
I made great money. I was younger. And that's what happens when you're young and you start making good money. It kind of blurs your vision to what you really is important in life.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, I'm just going to go conquer the world and take it over. And when I came back from my mission, I'm like, no, I think family is actually pretty important. And it's what I do want. And so I think it would have been drastically different.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have been as God-fearing. I don't think I'd be active in the church.
Do you think, like, what was it? Like, what was that? Is that just God stepping in and saying, hey, this is the only way I'm getting him out?
It's probably, I think, I believe it is, because I know what's happened in my life since then. And
do you think about that stuff?
Things,
like,
very, very deeply. Yeah.
That stuff scares me, actually.
It does a little bit me too. It's like, what's in store? What has he got planned for me? Right?
Like there's a part of me that's like 100% accountability. You can create what you want to create. Like, it's all, take complete ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the ones where it's like, that had nothing to do with you.
Yeah, nothing.
This is complete coincidence.
I was the passenger in that
this
car.
Is God's grace. This is like, and those are the ones that are a little bit humbling, because you're like, I like the idea that I can control my future. At a minimum, I can take massive action within this circle of influence to help dictate the outcome. That one feels better, because you're like, I can work harder. Yeah, I can be more creative. I can be more resourceful.
Yeah.
Then there's these I had, we were on a trip just this last week with some investors, and we were discussing this conversation about gifts. Like, what's the greatest gift you've ever been given? And then what's the greatest gift you've given? Fascinating conversation.
Wow.
But
you could go deep with that.
Most of the answers were something like you're describing, of whether it's God's grace or a coincidence or some circumstance that they had nothing to do with, that fundamentally changed the course of life. My mission was that for me too. That's
for you as well.
The reason why I'm asking is, when you look back, you're like, how different is life?
Yeah.
The way you're a dad, the way you're an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah.
Value set. Get married early, get married late, all these different things.
I think about it often, and I said at the beginning, I said God-fearing. I think that that's a good thing to be God-fearing.
Yeah.
And I say God-fearing because I actually feel like if I don't do certain things that I was put on earth to do, that I'll disappoint.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't like to disappoint people.
You want to be a good steward.
I want to be a good steward with what I've been given and the blessings I've been given. And so I think when I was on my mission, it wasn't easy. It was hard. I didn't love it. It wasn't the best 2 years of my life, like some people say. And when my boys have gone, I have a son right now in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Wow.
And he's a missionary. I remember when he was getting ready to go, he's a football star from Sky Ridge. He was
crushed. I remember watching him play in high school.
Yeah, he was a stud, and he was looking at schools to go and stuff. He's like, should I go on a mission? I'm like, it's not up to me. It's up to you. But I will tell you right now, if you go, it'll make this football thing look easy.
Yeah.
And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, it is hard, son. And I'll tell you what, he's gone out on this mission. He has crushed it in Sao Paulo. And it's because he went out with the right mindset of, it's going to be hard.
Do you think
and he's been ready for it.
He probably had a better prep than you had.
Way better.
Yeah.
Me mentally, I'm like, I'm just going to go out and do my time, come back and get the girl. And by the way, she sent me a letter and said, I'm marrying someone else a year in.
I think that's the best part of the story. I truly do. Man, God is so good.
He's so good. And listen, the one thing that I think that the mission did for me too, though, Casey, and I say this to people that are, non-members, people that are different denominations, people that are my investors that are, are intrigued with our religion. I'm like, it doesn't matter if you go on a mission or if you go do study abroad. If you just got to get away from your family. You got to go experience life and understand where you stand with a greater being, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you do that, a lot of good will come out of that. And people always will say, I totally agree. And I wish I had that mechanism for my kids.
Yeah.
So I feel fortunate to be part of the church to have that I can't teach my boys what the mission taught them.
Yeah.
I just can't. They're better men because of it, right? But I think that when I left the mission, I just thought, I'm going to just ignore the noise. I know where I stand and I'm going to endure to the end. I made a commitment to get to the end. I'm going to endure to the end no matter what anybody talks to me about or whatever their opinions are. I know exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. Cool.
So you go out on a mission, unexpected. Obviously you grew up in a family of faith, so it wasn't like foreign.
No, it was not foreign at all.
But unexpected.
I didn't have a testimony. I didn't know what I was doing.
Path.
Yeah.
Go out. The girl that you're in love with is the one who gets you out. That doesn't work out.
What
come back home and you come back to where? You come back
Chicago.
to
No, Chicago. So it's where my home was in Chicago. I flew into Chicago and was there with my parents, and my siblings flew out that were older.
Yep.
And were there for me when I got off the plane, and had a great couple days in Chicago, bought myself a car, drove across the country, come back to school.
But you were gone. Like
I was gone.
That was never going to be.
I was never going to stay there.
Yeah.
So back to school. Back
came
to
out
work.
here, and that was where you kind of got after education, a lot of your different things. When was your first break? When was your first business break where you're obviously like you said something that I think is so valuable, which was you knew how to sell.
Yeah.
So you had a skill set that you knew you could make money. You knew you were going to make money.
I had no doubt in my mind. Yeah, I was pretty driven by it. I came out to from Chicago, got a place, moved in, and started dating a gal. I dated around. We all date around when we come back to college. And I started dating this one girl that was from Arizona pretty seriously. And we had an opportunity to go see some of my companions from my mission on a kind of a group date. So we all got together on a group date, and I was sitting there, and one of my companions was with this girl, and her name was Shauna, and I was with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Girl I was dating seriously. I don't know how exclusive we were. And in my mind, I'm like, boy, she's beautiful. Why is she with him? And she was sitting there saying, oh my gosh, I'd like to meet him, but he's already taken. And so we just got to know each other, and I moved into the apartment complex that she was in right over here in Provo. And one night I was in my apartment and I was living with the guy that she had gone on that first date with. And I picked up the phone one night and I said, what up? And she's like, hey, this is Shauna. Is this Andrew? And I said, yeah, what's up, Shauna? Here, let me get Joey for you. And she goes, no, I'm calling for you. And I said, what? And she's like, yeah, I'm calling to find out when you're going to ask me out.
Let's go, Shauna.
Right.
Which just side note, like my wife admires your wife so much.
Oh,
like,
vice versa. I think Shauna is just totally smitten by Chelsea. So maybe we should just get out of the way.
100%. Like, but we were actually talking about it the other day, and she's like, I admire her so much.
She's a force.
She's a force. She's going back to school. She's also like a force in the business, raising great kids. And you can just feel like this crazy presence. So even just her being assertive and confident enough to just say, hey, like, when are you going to ask me out? You know what I mean? Like, I'd love that.
Yeah. You should get her side of the story when you have her on. But she'll tell you, she'll say, it's not how I am. I got the 2 minutes of courage that I needed to call and do that and went for it.
Yeah.
And she tells women all the time, she goes, listen, you say yes to things even if you didn't go on it. If you didn't want to go on that date, just say yes. You don't know who you're going to meet. She didn't want to go on that date.
Yeah.
But she went, and then we met each other.
Life starts happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I went on a date with her that night. I said, we're going to go out tonight. And she said, really? I'm like, yeah, I'll take you out tonight. And so I took her out that night.
Were you smitten? Was it just like...
Yeah, because I already had kind of seen her from afar, and I had been around her, socializing. And I'm like, she's beautiful and very sharp.
Yeah.
And so when she did that, I was so taken back by her courage.
You were loving it.
Oh, would you? I mean, it's amazing. Like every guy would be like, are you serious?
Super attractive quality.
Very. Yeah. Right. So we hit it off pretty quick. I broke up with the girl that I was dating. And she's fine. She got married and had family, and she's beautiful and a wonderful person. But Shauna and I ended up getting very serious, and we got married the next year.
Wow.
So
So you guys get married, start a family, start life.
Yep, we started life, and I was selling at Sierra West Jewelers going to college.
Yeah,
and I crushed.
You were smashing.
Yeah. It was a good lifestyle while being a student, right?
And just sell like engagement rings, or like what's kind of the main?
Yeah. I mean, listen, this is the marriage capital of the world, right? So we were just shooting fish in a barrel. Yeah. But I liked it because I liked meeting with these new, couples, and it was easy for me to sell in. It was good margin, great commission. But I was going to school, and I remember my roommate that I had, he had contacted me and said, "Hey, I've got this technology that I'm thinking that could be really cool." And I met with him, and he showed me a commercial of a Jaguar commercial on his computer. And I'm like, "Wait, how are you doing that?" And he goes, "Well, I built a codec to be able to take commercials and video and put them on the internet. Streaming media didn't exist."
Early.
This is 1998.
Wow.
And I'm like, "That is amazing." And he goes, "What do I do with that?" I mean, he was a computer engineer.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know what to do. He needs a guy like a Casey to go sell it, right?
For sure.
So what was natural for me? Call Jaguar. So I called Jaguar over and over and over again until I got someone in the marketing department to answer. And they finally answered, and I said, "Hey, I got something I want to show you." And so I sent them over a link, and they opened it up, and I could hear on the phone them listening to their commercial on the internet. And they said, "What is this?" I'm like, "Well, it's your commercial on the internet." And they just said, "How did you do this?" I'm like, "Well, it's our technology." And they said, "How much for us to use it," is what they said. I didn't hear that. I thought they were saying how much to buy it. We're college students. Like, we're young. In my mind, we're still poor. And so I said, $125,000. And they said, "Great. How many impressions do we get out of that?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Well, how many times do we get to use it for that price?" I'm like, "That's just to use it?" And they said, "Yeah, we're just wanting to use it." And I'm like, "Let me get back to you on that." I hung up the phone. I'm like, I think we have a company.
I've caught the dog has caught the car and doesn't know what to do now.
We have no idea what to do with it. So we had talked to some of our professors and friends of like, how do you incorporate? How do you set up an LLC? And we had a business, Casey. That was my first business.
That's incredible.
So we were a tech company that was doing streaming media back in 98, 99. Raised a little friends and family round. And friends and family was truly, I talked to customers that I had sold to and their parents and my family members. And we cobbled together about $300,000.
Which is a lot of money.
A lot of money back then. And it was scary for me because I'm like, I want to pay these people back because I don't owe anybody anything. But we were off to the races. We did a little venture around with East West Ventures out of Chicago. And we were a tech company during the pre-dot-com bubble days. So 99, 2000, 2001, we were signing Fortune 100 companies and they were using our technology. There was this pesky guy down in Texas. He had his streaming media tech called Broadcast Now, and it was Mark Cuban. And so he was in the arena doing streaming media at the same time. Was much bigger than us, but we were all doing streaming media. And then there was a couple companies on the coasts that had gone public, were doing streaming media. All of us had a little bit of a different piece of tech. And, he sold, made a lot of money, and then these guys had gone public. And we were contemplating going public right at the beginning of 2002, yeah. And started putting together all of our information to go public. And I'm thinking I'm going to be worth...
You're how old?
I'm 26.
You're like...
I'm a baby.
But you're kind of... I mean, that was the euphoria of technology, and you're right in the middle of it.
In the middle of it. I mean, I was watching...
With the right tech.
We had the right tech.
Yeah.
In fact, I was watching people around us getting, rounds of $90, $200 million, and they had no revenue. And that was the whole problem of the dot-com bubble, is it popped because people had no tech. They had no revenue generation. They had good ideas.
Yep. Everybody
we actually had revenue.
So euphoric around the internet.
And so our first company was actually in the SNet buildings right here, the salmon-colored buildings.
Yeah. And
SNet was across the way. That was our landlord. My partner was Tyler Thompson, Duff Thompson's father. Was his father. It was right after, WordPerfect had sold. And so there was all of the tech that was around us. It was a great time to be in tech, but we had a great technology. We were thinking about going out to market, and then the market popped.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally popped and it was a cliff. And when that happened, I mean, it's a dark time when you're an entrepreneur because you're like, what do you do? Everybody's going out of business. Are we going to go out of business?
Yep.
And so you kind of look inward to say, well, what do we have and how do we stay around? We made it through it. And then one of the companies that was our biggest competitor that was public called and said, hey, we should probably do something where we merge together because it's consolidation time. So where I thought, Casey, we were doomed. I had this great business. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to make a ton of money on my public stock. It was a fraction of that and still a huge success in its own right.
Yeah.
I remember being 26 and going, I don't think I'm going to have to work again.
Like
it was
millions?
Several million, yeah. And for me, it's like
26
years old.
It's
and
a billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In your mind, you're like, I've never had this much money. And so life was amazing. But I didn't love being public. I realized that after about 6 months, I'm like, I don't know if I like the public side of it because it kind of takes the soul out of it. The culture kind of starts to feel more rudimentary. It feels more number driven, even though numbers matter, right? For every business, I felt like the soul kind of left.
Of course.
And so for me, I'm like, I want to do something different. And I had taken my money to a wealth manager and I said, here's my money. What do we do? And he gave me a strategy. But the problem was, Casey, is when I said, well, can I see it on a screen? Can you show me on screen like where this money is and how much it's growing and what the pro forma would be on these funds and whatever? Well, no, we don't have that software. So I'm like, that's stupid. So I built it. That was my next company. So I got a couple of my tech guys, they came over, I paid them, and we built a technology, which was kind of like a Power BI dashboarding system.
How do I not know these
for
stories?
RIA?
I didn't know you were like technologists before you were in
Most people don't because I've been doing restaurants for 17 years.
No, that's incredible.
Yeah. So I built a system because I was like, I want it. And so I started selling it to RIAs. And 2 years later, I had an RIA that was one of my big clients. He said, I'm going to come out and speak in front of all of our advisors across the country that are coming in for a summit.
Yeah.
And explain the software. I'm like, great. I came out. And I remember, Casey, after I walked off the stage and the CEO of this RIA said, we want to talk with you. And so we went over in side room, sat down, and he said, I don't want anybody else to have the software. And I'm like, well, that's not a choice for you. And he just said, okay, well, can we make an offer? I'm like, you can make an offer. And so he made an offer and I'm like, and now it's your choice.
It was that good.
It was that good. Yeah, it was several $1 million and I've been doing this for 2 years.
So you're just like,
I was like, bird in the hand. I didn't know this was going to be a side hustle. And so I'm like, and I had already had an idea for something else that I thought could be bigger. And it was because I was building a home. It was the next home was some money. I'm like, I'm going to build a new home for my family. It was a nice home that we were building up in Lehigh. And Lehigh was like forever away from Provo back in the days. There was all these fields in between. But we were building a home in Lehigh. And the builder that I was building it with was a high-end builder. And he said, when we were doing the walkthrough, Casey, I said, well, what happens when, my kid punches a hole through that wall? What's the color of that paint and where do I get it? Well, there's a can downstairs. And then, well, what about this appliance? If I need to know how to use it, well, the instruction manual's in the drawer next to it smashed in there. I'm like, that is dumb. How much money I paid for this? If I buy a car, I get this beautiful manual that tells me everything.
Yeah.
So I'd already had this idea when I got that offer. I'm like, I'm going to take that because I'm building this home and I'm going to perfect that process. So then I built a technology where I indexed all of the information, building supplies, homeowner, appliance information, everything in the building industry, indexed it, would go to a builder and say, all you need to do is say, Chelsea and Casey Baugh are building this home. I'm finishing it. And here are all of the things that I put in their home. And you just select it from the database and we'll make you a home profile of everything in their home and you'll make it customized for their home. Blew builders' minds because they'd never had anything like that before. And then we will manage all your punch list and warranty information, everything, or warranty process for all your homeowners after. And so we kicked that off. I used some of my money to start it. And we just started shooting fish in a barrel. It was easy because nothing was, nothing even existed. And so we raised an initial A round, several million, raised a B round from a big private equity firm out of San Francisco. It was one of the larger packages back in 2005 here in Utah. And we were down at Thanksgiving Point, built a building, had about 120 employees.
What was that company called?
Called Access Point. Okay. So it was the point of access between builder and homeowners.
Yeah.
And life couldn't be better. It was 2007. We were growing, 75% per quarter over quarter. It was massive, massive growth. And we had everybody. We had Paul Allen's projects up in Seattle. I had Donald Trump's projects all across the country using my tech. I mean, it was it. It was very cool. And we were growing like this, right? Yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, this is going to be the one that I missed, Casey, back in the .com bubble. Like I missed it there, even though it was good, wasn't as good. This is going to be the one for me. Yep. And in 2007, I had 2 sons. I still have 2 sons, but I had 2 sons. They were toddlers. Shauna had been this unbelievable support system for me, just incredible support for me as an entrepreneur. We can go into that too, because I'm sure you're the same way with Chelsea, but you go and they're I mean, you can say this and I think everybody understands, but you're ride or die, right? Like you sit down with them at night when you want to like just bury your soul and say, I don't know what I'm doing.
It's
help
about
me.
the only person.
It's the only person in your life. Like you and I can do this, but not like when you're with your wife. And so Shauna was always my go-to, and she was always this brilliant mind. I'm like, gosh, I didn't even think of that. That's a great idea. And I would go do that the next day in my office. So she came to me in 2007. She goes, hey, I'd like to do something more than just be a stay-at-home mom. I'm like, great. What would you like to do? I'll support anything. And she says, I want to open a restaurant. And the first thing that went on in my mind, though, Casey, was, that is the dumbest idea I've ever heard, right? It's dumb. They don't make money. They all fail. All the fallacies that people have, I had them in my mind too. I was like, they don't work. Restaurants all fail. I know a lot more about that now, and I know why that fallacy exists. But you'd be proud of me, Casey, because what came out of my mouth was, Shauna, that's a great idea, and I would love to support you in that. And I did. So I said, what do you want to do? What would you like? Open your own restaurant, like start something? She goes, no, I don't want to do that. I think I want to just go with something that already exists that I like, that I think other people will like. And I said, well, what's that? And she goes, Kneaders Bakery and Café. I said, that's a cool little cafe. And I said, let's go talk to the founders. We went and talked to the founders here in Linden. Said, hey, we'd like to just put one store up here in Highland, and I'm in tech and my wife wants to run it. And long story short, we signed a deal to do one store up in Highland. And so I was driving to work one morning because my offices were in Thanksgiving Point, and saw this new Smith's marketplace being built, and the sign went up and said parcels available. And I called and said, hey, I'll take a parcel, and bought a parcel for $1 million, wired it over and said, hey, Shauna, I bought you a parcel. I got you a building. And she's like, what? I'm like, you said you wanted to do this. Let's go. And so I kind of nudged her, and she's like, okay, let's go. Let's do this. So we built it in 2008. We were ready to open in the summer, started hiring people in August of 2008 hit. So the great financial crash hit in August, and my life was on fire. It was cataclysmic because I'm in the building industry.
Yeah, that just shut
down. And the banks all are failing.
Both of those.
So both of them, as you remember, that was a rough time.
What was your ties with the banks, with yours?
Nothing for the banks other than they wanted to get the data on the homes so that they knew, for insurance purposes, if a home burned down, they would know everything that's actually in it. And Casey couldn't go in and say, well, I had gold, faucets. It's like, no, you didn't. You had the Kohler faucets, right? Yep. So they wanted the data. But the banks themselves, they were just suffering. And so building companies, they slowed down. Production builders kept going, but they slowed down. So my business immediately, Casey, like in 2-3 weeks, you're 60% down. I'm like, oh my, had plenty of money in the bank. And so it wasn't about survival. It was about what the hell do we do?
But you're lucky. You were one of the lucky ones that actually wasn't right.
We were prepared for it. And there's some lessons in and of that, of itself. And I just remember going, oh my gosh, Shauna's going to open up a restaurant right in the middle of this crash. We're going to fail. I mean, it's going to fail. And she opened up her first restaurant October of 2008. And it killed it. The first month, the world was falling apart. People were being let go left and right. And that Kneaders was packed every day. And I remember just looking at it going, how is that fair? Number one, I'm the CEO kingpin, right, Casey? That's kind of what I was thinking, but I was like, I'm so happy and proud of Shauna. But in my mind, I'm like, how did that happen? How did I not see that would work? But when you walked into the restaurant, on breaks or whatever, I'd walk in and see her working and smiling and everybody's happy. And I thought, wait a second, when you're in here and you're breaking bread with your loved ones, your kids, coworkers, you don't care that a bank's failing today. You don't care that the market's down. It's your moment of happiness.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to do it. It's not correlated to anything that's going on.
You think about how much magic happens around good food. It's kind of like all the best experiences in my life.
Yeah. Half of your experiences are breaking bread.
Good food is like an essential piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, for sure. And so for me, I saw that and I'm like, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Like I felt like I was a smart guy, but I'm like, I'm pretty stupid because I didn't see that.
Yeah.
And then the next fallacy in our heads is, well, you can't make money. Surely they don't make any profit. And I remember getting her P&L pulled together with the CPA the first quarter, so December of that year. So 3 months in. And I remember looking at it, Casey, I'm like, what is that number, Shauna? And she goes, well, I think it's profit. I had never seen profit in my entire career.
Ever. You're always hunting it, but you're never
hunting it. And to grow, you're burning. I mean, if you think about even what your career is, I mean, Vivint was burning cash to grow forever. But how do you grow great businesses? You have to continue to use money to invest.
Yep.
That thing just was kicking off cash.
Free cash.
And Casey, it wasn't like $2,000. It was like 6 figures of cash. I'm like, Shauna, you're a baller. So I was totally blown away with that. And we stabilized our business in 2009. And in the summer, we actually had a buyer that was talking to us before the crash.
Yep.
So we sold it successfully to a group out of Southern California. As a side note, that business still around 17 years later, still some of my same executives. That's a testament to what we built.
Wow.
But
Did
I
you
had
sell too early?
Maybe. Yeah.
Or was it the right?
No. I think it was the right time for me. And
Yeah.
then, of course, the private equity firm was like, we don't know what the world looks like past this. Nobody do. I mean, it was a deep, deep recession in 2009, and it was worth it. So why don't we do this? It was probably too early, but for me, man, I felt like I'd gone through the dot-com bubble again. It's dark. It's scary. It's hard to get the grit.
What was the exit like in that business? I'm always fascinated with the numbers because it like from like I know my experience with a Vivint and like what was that?
Because it was private. It was tens of millions of dollars, and the investors made their money still around, and I made money.
So it was
it was a good deal.
Yeah, it was
a good deal, but it was not.
You just said my future's secure.
Oh yeah, and so this was the funny thing is that when I was making a decision to do tech still, stay with that company, or I was at a crossroads. It's like, do I do this still? I just kept watching what Shauna was doing, and I'm like, there's something there. I don't really have the pressure of making money now. And I was 33 years old.
Still just a baby.
I'm a baby. Yeah.
That you'd been through three
exits by 33.
Is insane.
It's dumb, right?
I don't think I could have
No, I could never put that on a piece of paper and say that's going to happen.
I think about my entrepreneur. I see guys like you and people that just kind of got it early. And that was just never me. Like it took me a long time. Like I needed 15 years at Vivint to like actually mature to the point where I was ready to go do something on my own. Like
it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me too because I'd see, Corbin Church is a good buddy. And
he was a beast too.
20 years old. He'd never worked for anybody in his life, and it's like, and I was like, that was just never me. Like I didn't have the finance skills. I didn't have the accounting skills.
Yep.
I didn't know the word entrepreneur existed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just didn't have the context. And so it's always fun for me to listen to these stories of like 3 successful exits. I know a lot of people who start 3 businesses and they all suck.
They all suck or they fail, right?
Yeah. Like to actually like build and exit 3 businesses by 33 is
and through some of the biggest bubbles too, the biggest crashes, right?
But also to have like really good product market fit and be very well positioned. It's a testament to you of, call it luck or call it skill, but when you do it once or twice, it's probably luck. If you can actually do it systemically over time, probably one of your superpowers is just to be able to see, hey, this is a need in the market. Like
that's what
the market needs this.
Yeah.
And it's a big enough opportunity that I'm to give my life to.
Yeah, for sure.
And all 3 of those things, those are sweet opportunities, positioned really nice.
They are. I mean, I saw things that were just commonsensical to me that I could make better. That's why I started them.
Common sense to everybody. Like I think
maybe they were to me just because I was experiencing it. That was a pain. And I tell a lot of entrepreneurs, they're like, how do I pick an idea, Andrew? I'm like, live your life and see in the margins things that you can improve. And there's probably a business opportunity there. And they're like, that's true. I'm like, yeah, just think about things that you think are dumb.
Yeah.
And that you can improve it.
Well, so cool.
And to be honest with you, Casey, what we do with Savory, I saw a problem because of what I experienced in the food and beverage industry. This was because there was a need and I wanted to fill it and change it because it was stupid.
Yep.
So I joined her and I remember, I got to be honest with you, and everybody was like, how did you do that? I'm like, it was tougher than people think because we all think, oh, I don't have an ego and I don't have pride. But that's a bunch of crap. We all have different levels of that.
Yeah.
And I remember leaving and I talked to Shauna. I'm like, hey, I want to join you. And she goes, okay, come on in. This would be amazing. She was surprised. She's like, this is not going to stick. But I'm like, I got to learn the industry. I don't know the industry. I mean, I had to cook. I was a cook at Olive Garden when I was going to college for a little bit of time too and stuff. So we've all worked in restaurants, but I didn't know the business. So I went and joined her. And I think the second or third day, I'm in my restaurant in Highland, Utah. And the chairman of my board of my previous company walked in and he was a baller. He's with his wife. I'm standing at the register with a crew cap on, an apron with an 18-year-old girl training me on how to use our system. And he looks at me, he's like, Andrew? I'm like, hello, welcome. He goes, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, this is my restaurant. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like this, what am I doing with my life? Or being out and like wiping tables down next to tech CEOs that I knew in the Valley. And they're like, Andrew, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm working with my wife in restaurants now. It was a big change in my mind.
Like from like a humility standpoint. Talk to me about that, because
you're trying to put yourself there, aren't you?
Yeah,
like,
I'm going there saying, I don't think I'd like that. Like,
I didn't like
I think there's been, I was a waiter,
yeah,
in high school and loved it. Like that opportunity was way better than working hourly.
Yeah, sure.
If I go provide good service and take care of people,
you get paid for it, right?
You get paid for it. And so like there was times and seasons where that was the greatest job ever. I think today to go work the register or go clean tables would be harder. I think my ego.
That's what I'm saying. We all have levels of ego. I did too, though. Yeah. That's what I'm saying is, I'm like, what did I just do? I just kissed my whole career away. My career was kind of up and to the right, even though there was peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
It was still good. And I remember washing dishes one day for like 2 hours to get caught up or whatever. And I'm like, I swear I'm the only multimillionaire that's a dishwasher in Utah right now, I'm sure. And I remember thinking that. And I'm like, that's an egotistical and prideful thing to say and stupid. But I was like, but this needs to be done or the restaurant doesn't work.
But how rad that you learn the business from the ground up.
You have to. Like I think that in any business, if you're not a learn-it-all and don't learn every single level of the business, you can't be a good leader for that business. Yeah. And you don't know how to plow forward with a plan.
But I would probably say most people in your shoes wouldn't be washing dishes.
No, they would not.
Like they'd probably say, I'm too good for I personally had not the same experience, but a different experience and a different lesson in my career that changed my career. And, not to the same extent, but my first 3 years I worked for a company that was a smaller dish network and direct TV company. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I excelled really quick. So within 3 years, I was, a top guy, top regional, top leader.
And making good money.
At that point, phenomenal money.
Yeah.
Couldn't have comprehended that I could make that much money.
Yep.
But I also had a title, I had an office, and there was a feeling of, hey, I've arrived, mm-hmm. which is funny looking back. I was 24.
Yeah, you're like, I hadn't really arrived.
The big dog's here, But I remember same timeline, 2007, 2008, the world blows up. Company goes out of business. And that was where I met Todd. Mm. Met Todd and Alex. And the most challenging thing that I dealt with going to work at Apex was they came and they said, hey, you need to start at the bottom. They're like, you're never going to have credibility in this org if you haven't done the thing that you're training people to do. This is a different product. This is different service. And they were pushing me, just saying, you will shine here, but you got to start as a sales rep and as a manager.
It's great.
And it was the exact truth that I didn't want to hear. And I had a competitor that was telling me the opposite. I had a competitor that was telling me, you've passed that stage in your career.
You don't ever have to do that.
We want you to be the man today. We'll give you a bigger title. We'll give you the salary and the benefits. And that one actually was everything that I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So it was this challenge because I wanted to work with Todd and Alex, but they were telling me a road that was way harder and pushed against my ego. And I had somebody else that had a similar opportunity with, on paper, way more money. And when we go back to the front where you went on a mission because a girl said, you
got to go.
I made a decision with Todd and Alex to not work there. Stood up, shook their hand, walked out, and was taking the other job.
Really?
And my wife, we have a moment. She says, this is where we need to be. She's putting her finger in my chest. We have one of those, and I knew, it was one of those God intervention moments. We walked back in and said, hey, this just happened. Don't know what this means, but we're in. And it changed the whole course of life, and it was not my decision. My decision was actually to go do
Isn't that incredible?
It's incredible.
Because it would have probably been different.
The company went bankrupt 5 years later.
Oh, okay. Well, then
my buddies who took that job
all probably came back.
Overpromise, underdeliver.
Yep.
And what Todd and Alex said was exactly right. Washing the tables or knocking doors 108 days in Dallas in 2008 when everybody's houses are defaulting. You're trying to get them to qualify for, it was hard.
Yeah.
But I learned the business.
Sure you did.
And I actually gained credibility with my peers. And I look back, I'm like, I never could have had the career I had if I would have skipped those steps.
Yeah,
and so
sure.
I'm sitting here listening to these patterns, just saying, good on you for having the humility.
Yeah, you have to
step in and say, I'm going to do every job in this.
Yeah. And I think it's not even to be a leader, to be just a coworker, a teammate, member of the team. You all have to have that humility. You all have to
and to have the empathy.
100%.
To actually know, I know what every role that I hire.
Yeah.
Because now I look at it, you guys have how many restaurants? You've done
550.
Yeah, you've done. It'll be 1,000 restaurants a couple years from now.
Yeah, it will.
All different segments.
All different.
But every hire.
Yep.
And why they are needed.
Yep.
And you just kind of can't know that stuff until you know it.
No, that was probably some of the most. It was the most difficult years of my career, going from where I was, which I felt like was on the top of the mountain, to food, and then to learning the business. I loved working with Shauna, and people always say, "How do you and Shauna work together? How is that even possible?" And that's a whole other conversation. But it was fun. We made it fun. We were partners anyway.
I would love to have this conversation with me, Chelsea, you, and Shauna.
We should
at some point.
Yeah,
because
people don't understand how it can work, and it can work.
Yeah. Well, from the outside, it works. When we watch you guys, you guys have a great relationship.
It's the best it's ever been.
Yeah. And you're building the business together and have different roles, but
it's worked for us too in with Kneaders. And so we ended up building 50 of those. I don't know if you know that. So it's let's build some. So we built 50 of them.
Yep.
And we built a little over $125 million of real estate, where we owned the real estate and flipped. I mean, I made more for my family in 10 years in the food and beverage business than I did in all of my tech exits.
Wow.
So when people say, can you make money in that industry? If you do it right and you work it like an actual business and not a side hustle and as an annuity, you can make a lot of money.
What did you learn from the Kneaders experience that you said, when I go do this again, I'm not going to make these same mistakes?
Yeah. So we made a big mistake, and it's common knowledge now, but as I was going, I was realizing, as a franchisee of a system, we're kind of the tail wagging the dog of paying the corporate body or the founders.
Yep.
And if they're not growing at the same pace, or if they don't have other people growing with me, then the system is me. And I didn't get into the system thinking that that's what it was going to be, but we were
the system.
We had built our own team, our own ops team, and I had the wherewithal to build the team and the office and stuff, to recruit great talent and have restaurant operators and stuff. It was millions of dollars, Casey. I had to put up front, invested dollars. Yep. So when I saw that, I'm like, most people won't have the money to put the cart before the horse and then build a restaurant empire below it, right? You just don't. And I knew that. And then I got involved in the Little Caesars system, and we did 87 of those. Nobody really knows that either. We did 87
I knew
Little
you did the
Caesars.
Kneaders. I didn't know you were doing the Little Caesars.
Yeah, we did Little Caesars at the same time. And they were all in the Southeast. We had an office in Birmingham as well. So we had a bigger enterprise going, and we were thinking, well, we'll do 200-300 Caesars. We'll keep doing Kneaders, and then we'll maybe do another brand.
And the idea was always be a franchisee?
Franchisee.
Okay.
A pivot happened, though, when I was like, you know what? If we go to sell this, we're going to go sell it, and the market, as we looked at it, is 5 times trailing EBITDA, or 6. Maybe if you're a Taco Bell,
if you're the
7.
franchisee.
If you're the E.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's good. It's not, you're not going to go poor from that, but it's not what I'm in this for. It's just too much work for us to do all this, pay it up to the top, and have them have more enterprise value than what we have created. So we had this conversation, and it was actually a time where I was actually racing Porsches, and I was with Jeff Curl and Greg Warnock, and Todd Peterson had a car in our team, and Josh James, and we were sitting in this pit at
kind of like the godfathers of Utah County. When I think about that
group
time,
of people,
and that time,
and that time for sure.
I mean, that was it. Josh James,
Todd,
Todd,
Curl, yeah.
I mean, that was,
and Greg was he's been a prominent investor
right in the heart
for all
of
these
all
years.
Of it.
It was,
yeah.
And we had a couple other teammates that were out of state, but we built this racing team, and we were racing around the country. It was so fun. It was a childhood dream, and I got to know Greg more there. But I knew those guys. I've known those guys for
time.
years. Yeah. I mean, I knew Alex and Todd when you were probably being hired, and I've watched that whole career. And I get to work with Alex right now because he's the CEO of Swig now. And so I love being able to circle back around with him. But we were just talking about it. And I love the question, like, can you make money in food? And I'm like, yeah, you can make a lot of money. And I remember telling them, like, well, this is how much money we'll do this year. And this is how much in cash flow that we're actually kicking out of the business. And they almost fell out of their seat. And Greg heard that. And he came to me after and he said, have you ever thought about standing up an institutionalized fund?
Yeah.
Like, yes, because it's been the bank of Andrew and Shauna and then local banks and other, investor high net worths that I knew that wanted to invest into.
Together.
Yeah, we're passionate together because I knew a lot of people are like, hey, can we throw some money at this? And a lot of the people, you've had them on the show that I've known a lot of years. We've invested together. We've all made money.
Yeah.
And it was fun. And I'm like, I've heard it, I've thought about that. Persistent capital would be nice so that you don't have to keep raising, deal by deal. So I said, let's have a conversation. He goes, I never knew that you could make so much money in food and beverage. And what your skill set is and what your team does is really intriguing if you could overlay that with private equity. And like, I agree with that. At that time, I started taking meetings with people in state and out of state with brands, founders of brands. And they were saying, this is what my brand is. This is how much we're making. This is how big we are. This is how long we've been around. And the pattern that I saw was these founders were building these brands. They were around for, call it 8 to 15 years. And they all hit this wall. And this wall that they hit was my skill set doesn't go beyond this, but I knew how to curate this incredible brand.
Yep.
And I remember Nicole from Swig meeting with me and she told me about this. I'm like, I don't really understand it. Shauna understood it. But what you've done is exceptional. I see the lines. I see what you're doing. This is what I would advise you to do. I was just giving her advice because I'm willing to help any entrepreneur, just like you are, Kissy. We're like, we'll help anybody. And I remember telling her all the things that I would do with her brand. And she left and she called me 2 hours later and she said, I don't know how to do any of that, Andrew. I'm like, I know it's hard. And she's like, and I don't have a team to do that. Can you buy into my company and help me? And so got off the phone, went and talked to Shauna, called her back and said, yeah, we'll buy your company. So we bought a 51% stake in Swig. That was our first deal.
And how many locations did they have at that point?
14 locations. And they were getting franchise inquiries by the minute.
And you're paying what multiple?
We paid her 3.5.
Okay. So she gave you a good deal.
Got a good deal because we knew what we could do.
She knew that she would get the value out of it. Yeah. So it was kind of like,
we both won.
Well, wants a fair price, but also like really wants you in the business.
Yeah. And I think that she understood, like, I won't be able to grow it without help.
Yep.
And I knew that it was going to be a lot of work for us. At that time, we bought that. And then I was already talking to other brands. We had met the founders of Mobetta's.
Yep.
And I offered them a similar type of deal. And they said, yeah, we want your help. And so I had bought both of those while we were kind of in this process of let's stand up an institutionalized fund.
Yeah.
So we had, you have those moments too, Casey, in life where you're like, I'm going to burn the ships, right? I'm just going to send it and just figure it out. And so we sold all of the Kneaders and we sold all of the Caesars in like a 6-month period.
So talk to me about that because was it just that, hey, we're never going to own the parent?
Yeah.
Like
it's 100% the act.
We've got the franchise, but we're not going to own the parents. We're kind of building it for somebody else versus
that's right.
Building it for ourselves.
And so, I actually, we tried for about 1.5 years to come up with a way where we would buy out the founders.
Yep.
And so I partnered with Fraser Bullock with Sorensen, which he's been a friend of mine for a long time and kind of a godfather of private equity. And we tried multiple times. And I understand why the family said no. I mean, it's their brand.
Yeah, just weren't willing.
They weren't willing, and we made them good offers. We tried, and then 6 months later, Mitt and his firm out in the East Coast, Solomir Capital, we tried. Didn't work. So we thought we were going to get it done. We couldn't get it done. And then I partnered with Steve Young and Rob Lawson over at HGGC, and we tried with them too, like the last time.
Just trying. So we wanted to buy it. But you kind of knew for us to keep going, we're not going to go do another 100 stores and go build somebody else's kingdom. Like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it for ourselves.
Yeah. And the problem was too, you're an investor now too. The problem was that everybody that came to the table, they'd say, well, if we invest into this to help grow the whole Kneaders empire, essentially, we want Andrew to run it. It's not going to work for a founder group. And it's like, well, this is our brand. Again, I totally understood.
Yeah.
No, I understood. It was just a complex situation.
We're in that world where
you are
like, we've got a concept that we started out as a franchisee.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was just hey, here's $250,000. Let's do a store or whatever. And then it kind of ended up that we ended up owning the parent as well.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get into both, you're like, you really got to go build the parent. If the parent's bulletproof and strong,
foundational,
then the franchisees have a chance to succeed.
That's right.
If the parent's not strong,
it's not going to work.
You can never franchise it. You know what I mean?
And it's never going to work.
Yeah.
So we saw that. We sold out. The Caesars sold quickly because it's such a hot brand. It really is like a little ATM company. I mean, those are amazing. Those are amazing.
I can't tell you how many buddies I've had that have made money on Little Caesars.
No. They were ATM machines.
It's crazy.
It was crazy. And that's another story too, because how I got into that, and the founders of Little Caesars pulled me out they invited me to Detroit and wine and dine me. I'm like, why am I here? And they're like, well, we have this opportunity for you. And they pitched me, and I'm like,
basically just give you like a region. Say, hey,
they wanted me to buy a larger package in the Southeast because they had a franchisee that was a troubled franchisee for some legal reasons. And so they wanted him out of the system. So it was opportunistic.
So you bought him out.
Bought him out, and then we continued to grow and buy more in the region. Okay. So we were going to be just a big old franchisee of theirs.
Which that's a concept you can do that, right?
Oh, for sure.
That's one that
it's like a Taco Bell or something like that.
They just economics work good enough that it's like you can go build a great business just being a franchisee.
And for us, we were good at it. We had a good team to work and operate them. But we just realized that we had that moment where it's like, we're going to completely pivot to, we're going to own corporate.
Yep.
We're going to be part of corporate because we know our value. I have a team of 80 people in my office that are restaurant pros and operational pros at all different disciplines. Let's just do this and let's have persistent capital. Yep. So in 2018, we raised our first debut fund of $100 million, and we bought 5 brands, all majority control. But we required all the founders to stay involved. So that's one of the things that I think is the magic of what we do is we require them to stay, and we have them be brand-led and founder-led and Savory supported. That's what we always say.
Nah, it's really cool. Because you think about, there's so much like restaurants are very emotional, and there's a tremendous amount of soul.
Yeah.
Like a restaurant has a soul.
Oh, yeah.
And so much of that is the founder. Like
it is the
founder's vision and dream and passion that like permeates through. And so much of restaurants is story.
It is.
You go back to the origin story. I think about this, a restaurant that I love, this chicken salad chick.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
I know those guys very well.
I love this restaurant, but when I learn the story, I love it more.
Even more. Yeah, yeah.
And so much of it is that story of like, oh, wow, like this food that I'm eating, down on 30A with my family at the beach, there's soul to this. There was a lady that, couldn't get a job and is building chicken salad and selling it to her neighbors. And this is the origin.
It's a great story.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know the story very well.
Food is amazing. So emotional and so like almost spiritual. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's, I think about Mo Betters, and then you go back to the origins and like there's soul, anyway,
very much so soul.
Like it's
cool.
I think that's the magic with food, and specifically what you're doing around these founder-led concepts.
Gotta have them there.
The ones that work, they really work. And it's most of it is because the founder is so passionate and has found that product market fit and found that niche to where they can just deliver more value than anybody else.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's something that we believe in is the founder. I've been a founder my whole life, as you know, my career now, and I knew that the big mistake that a lot of investors do is they go in and then they sideline the founders. Yeah. With our founders, we say, what do you love to do? Well, I love to do X, Y, and Z. I don't really like any of this. Well, then don't do any of that.
Yep.
Let's have you do this every day so that your superpower is that. So we really try to get, bolster up that for them. Got great relationships with our founders. The thing that drives me right now is getting to build these founders' dreams and having them see their exits.
That fires you up.
Fires me up. It's having, we exited Mo Betters, Swig a couple years ago to Larry H. Miller Company, still sit on the board there. We still own a good piece of that. It's a tremendous brand and growth story. But even Mo Betters, we sold it to a big private equity firm out of Dallas.
Sell 100%?
I didn't. I kept 17%. Still sit on the board. And
do you like that? Do you like continuing?
Love it because that's a way for you to double dip, right? Yeah. Like you take off your cash plus a great return that capital to your investors, but keeping those pieces. Like I could have sold 100% of both of those and returned more money to my investors.
You could have done both though. So that was like that was a deliberate decision of saying, I'd like to stay involved and I'd like to, go be a part of the next phase of the journey.
Yeah. And because the founders liked that process with us so much, meaning just seeing how it would evolve, what they've learned.
Yep.
This next chapter, they've all rolled too.
Yeah.
They've taken chips off the table. They've rolled too.
And as my whole world today is private equity.
Yeah.
anybody that's saying, hey, I want to double down, I want to roll, that's a great
That's what
signal.
you want. Huge.
Tremendous signal.
Yeah,
like,
you want that.
The opposite of that's like, hey, I
Scary.
want everything off table. You're like,
well, and we don't do it.
Don't know if I like that.
We don't do it either, right? Because it scares you. It's like, what are you trying to sell me that I don't know about?
Because you're private equity too.
We're private equity. I mean, Savory is private equity.
Savory is private equity. It's just the vehicle is
That's right.
food and beverage, but
and we're operators. I mean, the thing about private equity is a lot of times we're allocators as private equity.
Yeah.
But I wake up in the morning not thinking as a private equity guy. I wake up in the morning thinking as an operator.
Yeah.
So 3 funds in, we're raising our 3rd fund now, and 15 brands that we've totally done, and $3 billion in sales. It's been a pretty good run for 17 years.
No, it's incredible. Yeah, admire so much. Obviously I'm an LP of yours.
Yes, you are.
Care. Most of it for me is just I love supporting. I learned.
So do I.
I learned a really amazing lesson from Fraser. We did a real estate fund. And sat down with Fraser. Fraser gave us $1 million. And he said something. He said, feel free to use my name. Let people know that I'm a part of it, and good luck. And I was like, how cool is that? Fraser Bullock, he's a legend. Friggin' legend. And then I learned he does that with everyone. There's I don't think there's a fund in Utah that doesn't have $1 million of Fraser's money and that he's saying, use my name. Yeah. And I'm like, the goodwill that it created with me, like it was just so for me, I'm in most funds. I'm in most, and it was this lesson I learned from Fraser, like, why wouldn't you go be a part of somebody's journey?
Yeah.
And you get to cheer for them and you get to go be a part of it, Yeah,
I like being able to support one another in our community. Yeah. We really believe in this community here, which I know you do.
For sure.
I do too. I do things differently than others and how I help entrepreneurs and where I invest my money, because I've invested probably way too much I've invested a ton of money into entrepreneurs here in Utah, but I just don't want my name on the article. But I do it because I want to support what Utah's going through. And I think that what we've created here in Utah, it's unparalleled. As you travel around, the markets.
When it's only getting started.
It's unparalleled. And it's just getting started.
We just invested with kind of Craig Cannon and some of those guys in that Utah City project.
Yeah.
But the thesis is there's going to be double the amount of people in Utah County. Like we need a lot. We need everything. We need everything that.
Where are they going to go, Casey?
1 million people that are entrepreneurs and founders and leaders and business people. Like that's the infrastructure.
Yep.
But I think that's the world that we're living in. That's, and you have such an intimate front row seat at all of it. Yeah. Like I'm hearing the circles that you ran with and you've just been in the heart of this for so long. And it's fascinating that the niche that you found and the one that you're the most passionate about is food and beverage.
Yeah, I'm passionate about it. And that's where I want to end my career. I mean, I
also think all of those other paths with technology, with tech, that's got to be like what differentiates you from everybody else.
Yeah, nobody who's really done tech in food and beverage. It's unique. And honestly, people don't understand that in food and beverage, there's a lot of tech and more coming.
Tremendous.
And it's given me a little bit of an advantage, just how I think about our systems and how we grow.
Have you guys ever, and I don't know your business well enough, have you guys ever got into that side of like, hey, what software do we go build?
Yeah. We've built a software internally because I can't help myself to help with hiring and training. We've also made an investment into tech. It's just such a different investment thesis, right? Yeah. You can't water down my returns with tech, because tech a lot of times a lot longer. It's a lot riskier.
Yeah.
When we invest, people don't understand. When we invest, the time we invest and the size that we invest in, the risk is less than 10% of failure. Less than 10%.
Which is insane.
So what we invest into is not risky.
Yeah.
The risk is scale and growth and burning cash that you shouldn't. So discipline matters when you're an investor.
Yep.
But, I'm also an investor in tech, and I'm on boards of tech companies still, because that scratches my itch. And I'm in manufacturing and consumer product goods companies, and I see it all.
Yeah.
Here in Utah and outside of that. And I still kind of go back to, it is so straightforward how I take a brand that's amazing and grow it to be 5-10 times the size.
No, I mean,
and sell it. I'm going to stick here.
Yeah, Fund 3, 4, 5, 6
should
for sure.
Be
way better than 1, 2, 3.
Fund 3 is already better.
Just because the learnings.
Yeah. You apply it to the later funds. So we're almost done with Fund 3, and then I've got an incredible team. Shauna, actually, there's going to be an announcement with her here pretty soon.
What do we got? Give me the early release.
Yeah, I don't know if you've told anybody, actually.
No, when are you announcing it?
We're probably going to announce it the first week of January, but you know what? I'll tell you guys. How's that?
I love it.
But she's going to be promoted to managing director of the fund.
Let's go.
And if you think about Utah and how many managing directors, she's CEO.
Yeah.
She's CEO of our performance team and all of the different leadership teams of all of our brands.
Rock star. That fires me up so much.
For her especially, yeah. It's going to be a big deal. And I think that there's a lot of attention on private equity with women. And we both know that.
Yeah.
And she'll be a managing director of the fund.
Let's go.
So it's cool for her. And she's found a phenomenal replacement for her, an industry stud that's coming in to take her role. And she's the one that found him. And he comes from a big private equity backed brand. And he was the president and CMO of a little brand called Raising Cane's. And so when you go into Raising Cane's and you see a One Love on the wall, he came up with all of that and the whole model for Raising Cane's and for Todd Graves, the founder. And he's been running a little brand called Velvet Taco recently. Oh, yeah. For the last 8 years for El Catterton, and then LGP just bought them.
Yeah.
And so he is just a baller, and we're just lucky to have him. So he's going to come replace her.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So things are going really well with Savory, and the future is only brighter for us.
Talk to me about the macroeconomic environment with food. Like we've got our lunch eaten the last 3 years. Like it's been
hard.
Food cost, labor, COVID. Just it's been a rocky.
Been super rocky
road. How have you guys navigated that?
And I would say this, I think macro for the food and beverage industry is the same for consumer, industrials, and other things. It's not just food and beverage, because I'm seeing it in the other brands that I'm either an investor in or on the board. And everyone's getting kind of rocked with knowing how do you prepare yourself for unknowns? Because there's been a lot of unknowns. So we go through an incredible 1920, of course. We all know what happens with the epidemic. Everyone is suffering through that. 2020 and 2021 were some of our most profitable and successful years ever.
Interest rates were so low.
They were so low.
You got $6 trillion that gets pumped into the market. Everybody's
having a heyday, right?
Yeah.
So we crushed it during that time.
Yeah.
We raised another $100 million fund, bought 2 brands, hired 1,000 people. I mean, it was crazy for us. We turned our PPP money. We didn't need it because we were doing that well.
Yeah.
So it was an incredible time for us. I think the hardest time has been 23, 24.
They've been hard years.
Hardest years. And I will say the reason why is because you know how the dot-com bubble, Casey, and I lived through it, but I always tell people the pin popped it and it just popped immediately, all at once. The GFC, 1 month, pops. Everything's collapsing.
Which is kind of better.
It's almost better. Like, you know what to deal with. The pieces are on the ground.
It's so painful, you eat your medicine once.
Yep. This has been 23, 24, and even the first part of 25 has been pressure on all sides of the balloon. And you're like, what is going to cause it to pop? Now, it hasn't popped because some people say that we're in a recession. I actually believe we've been in a recession, but it hasn't popped where we've had this huge crash, right?
Yep.
It's just been pressure on all sides of the balloon. And as a business owner and even as an investor, it's kind of, gosh, where do you push out some of that pressure? So for us, we've just been working all of it. And our secret sauce for Savory to succeed through these times has been we've just had this dynamite team that works on the business every day, pivoting weekly, monthly, quarterly to where you still find the wins and the margins, right? So with all the pressures that we've had, get more tech in there so that you schedule the right way for labor. Let's make sure we have tech in there so that we're ordering and we have less spoilage. Let's make sure that we're not growing as fast because building supplies are expensive, pull back a little bit of growth. Now we're leaning forward in it because costs have come down. So you just got to be disciplined. You got to have a team looking at all of it. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have some failures. I mean, we've had failures, Casey, it's part of it, but we're just better at navigating them because we have a team looking at all aspects.
What are the failures? Like, talk to me about the ones that didn't work. And what did you get wrong on your thesis? What did you screw up?
Yeah.
I think for me, I learned way more. When it's all going right, you feel so smart.
You feel invincible, you're right? Like I can do no wrong.
No, I'm batting 1,000 and this, and I think what I've learned at 43, because I haven't been through the 3 cycles, but I've been through 2 cycles.
Yep.
Young enough that I missed the .com, but for sure the GFC,
you felt
right
that
in the heart of that.
COVID, you felt,
and COVID, and both of those are interesting cycles. We just, I could. In another time, I'll tell you the ones that I got wrong. But I go back to my thesis, and this is what I thought was going to happen. this is what happened. I was just wrong.
Yeah.
And these are the mistakes that I made. When you go back through Fund 1, Fund 2, which ones didn't work and why didn't they work?
Yeah, surprisingly so far, and this is not going to be indicative of the future, but we haven't shuttered anything. Nothing's shut down. So we haven't had any zeros.
Nothing's like take it to zero.
No. Have we missed on market expansion and growth and sites? Yeah, it's part of the game, but we get paid handsomely for a better multiple, having taken those risks and proven those out. But I hate to still fail. I've done over 500 units of growth for brands, and I've missed on 13.
That's a phenomenal track record.
It's a pretty good batting average.
Yeah.
On those 13, though, it was going to market a little too fast, where before I would look at a market, run the data. Now it's AI. You put all of the customer data from your loyalty program in and the stores that you have, and you say, where do I find more Casey and Chelsea's in this market?
Yeah.
And it says this market is your hotbeds. And then here are your zip codes and where you should go. Before, I would get on a plane, I would go out to that market and I'd stand on that dirt or on that center and I was just so busy, Casey, that I was like, the data says go there, sign a deal. Data says go here, sign a deal.
Yep.
I got away from the disciplined process that I had taken for years prior because I got cocky. We can't miss.
Yeah.
And we started missing because we were just going off of data when data cannot be the only driver. So when everybody thinks that AI is going to replace things, I just think it's bullshit. I just don't think that that's a world we're going to live in, because data can give you smarts, right? It can give you intelligence. I don't believe it can give you wisdom.
Yeah.
And I think that you and I gain wisdom by doing and feeling. And I don't think AI is ever going to feel for you.
But the ones that you shut down, is it market driven? It's just the wrong market.
It used to be for me
concept driven.
It can be a little bit concept, but I believe in this industry more than ever. People used to say, remember, location. Real estate's all about location. And I've believed that. But there were times where I went somewhere, I'm like, how is that one not working? It's on Main and Main on the corner.
Yeah.
You can see it perfectly. Oh, wait a second. You don't have access. You don't have parking. You don't have an anchor behind you. You have location, but you don't have access, visibility, and parking. So for us, it's location, access, visibility, and parking.
I mean, we've shut down a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's part of it.
And every single time I'm doing this autopsy, and again, like you're an operator, I'm an allocator.
Yeah.
I'm cheering for the team.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm also fascinated on why didn't this work? And you've got one that like
hits it.
This is like this side of the parking lot that prints money.
Yep. And this one doesn't.
This side of the parking lot, and we ran 2 concepts through the same store and
doesn't work.
We ran a barbecue concept, didn't work. Ran a burger concept, didn't work. And you're like, this one's killing it.
Yep.
That 500 feet, 1,000 feet away from each other. I'm like, what? And it's fascinating.
It's fascinating because consumers are fickle, and how they trade is fickle, and how they drive and where their eyes look is fickle.
Yeah.
All of those things are interesting. We don't have a perfect, execution on that, but we're pretty damn good at it.
Yeah.
But like I said, you have to use wisdom, and that is, if it didn't work for this concept and this concept and this concept, we'll typically not do something in those centers.
Talk to me about Fund 3 and the assets you have in Fund 3.
Yeah, Fund 3, we have a brand out in the DC area called South Block. It's one of the best acai smoothie toast concepts. People are going more towards better for you foods, and we know that. We've been watching that closely. So we made an investment with them, purchased 60%, founders still involved. We're absolutely crushing it with that brand. And it's in one of the most expensive markets in the whole US. DC, it's the highest income or labor costs.
Yeah.
But we're crushing it. Amazing margins. Cash and cash is a year for our stores.
How many?
22 units. We have 14 in development. So
Wow.
we're really growing that one. Going into the Carolinas next. We have another brand that people had talked to me about, honestly, Casey, for 4 years. It was called Farmstead in St. George, but we bought it and they did a name change to Bonru, but it's a bakery. I know a little bit about a bakery business. I built a $100 million business out of bakery.
Oh, yeah.
But this is different. It's got Michelin star chefs and pastry chefs and bakers in St. George. They came out of Wynn Resorts. And the thing that I liked about them is speed, the hospitality, and the price and the quality. You just don't get in bakery anymore. It's usually not that good. It's not very fast, and they're not very friendly. And they have crushed it all. Their volumes are massive. Like, will blow your mind massive.
Like
margins.
What's like a
$3.5 million in a little
per store?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. So we acquired that earlier this year.
One location?
Three locations.
Three locations
in Southern Utah.
In St. George?
St. George. Mm-hmm. And then we're doing 7 up here next year. So we've already got those leases signed. So we're coming up here, exciting. 7. And then we bought probably the coolest. We've been watching the Asian cuisine category for a while and identified one called hawkers. You go to Asia and you go to the street vendors that are, selling food. They're called hawkers.
Street food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's called Hawkers Asian Street Food, but it's a sit down. So it's casual dining.
Okay.
Extremely cool and vibey. The food is excellent and it has all different types. It's not Chinese, it's Mongolian, it's Indonesian, it's everything. But the foods you sit down at, you'd understand them. It's some ramen and it's bao and it's Korean fried wings and it's all the different types of foods that you would love.
Yeah.
But you sit down and the experience is one of the best $5 million AUVs. So average unit volumes are 5 million, massive margins. They're in Orlando. They're up into the Carolinas. They're in Maryland. They're in Tennessee, and they're in Dallas.
$5 million AUVs.
Yeah. So that one's in there, and that isn't great. And then we have 2 more that are one that's under contract, another one that's going under contract here pretty soon. Yeah. So we'll have 5 brands by summer next year.
Are you to the point where like you know what you know? Like when something's good.
Yeah.
Obviously the unit economics are the easiest place to go.
That's easy.
But then it's stepping in and saying, hey, this actually is like a category that's...
Yeah. Categorically, we know what to go into because we've watched the trends for a long time. There's data to follow. One thing that we don't invest in Savory is we don't invest into non-habitual products. And when you think about what's habitual for you and I, what we're going to do every day or your kids are going to eat every day, you know what's on your flywheel. You get in the car with Chelsea and you're like, where should we go eat? You and I know that 90% of the decisions Chelsea's anyway.
So for me, like it's healthier food.
Yeah, that's what you want.
The
aubergine or something like that, right?
It's an aubergine or a tossed or like...
Or tossed, exactly.
Every time.
Yep.
It's like...
That's what people want.
Or sushi. It ends up being...
So we want that. We want the habit. And when I say habitual, you're like, well, habitual is like drinking caffeine. I'm like, no. Habitual is when you sit in the car and you're like, what should we go to? And you're like, Costa Vita, aubergine, tossed, whatever.
DoorDash.
What should you DoorDash?
That's the thing that's like changing so fast.
For sure.
It's like I get home from Cabo yesterday, get in my truck, hop on DoorDash, click, and I'm going to have something at my house ready. Chelsea's, out late.
Yep.
Like with school. And I'm going to have something that I like that's fresh, that didn't exist 3 years ago. That didn't exist 5 years
That's
ago.
one good thing that came out of COVID is just we all are now using third-party delivery in our lives. We've gotten a little bit less complicated. We won't invest into things that are non-habitual like ice cream, yogurt, cookies. We don't invest in that stuff because it's not necessary.
Yeah.
It's nice to have. It's not need to have.
But so swig
that's habitual.
Is the habitual the drink?
Mm-hmm.
And the cookies are
it's an additive.
Yeah, it's a supplement.
It's just an addition, right? Like you try to get your ticket price up, and the way to do that is give something. We've never been a cookie company. It's just something people want, but the attachment rate of that product is much lower than you think at Swig. Swig is a beverage company.
It's a beverage,
and that's why we liked it. Is because you're habitually going to drink something. You and I are going to drink something today multiple times.
Your competitors are coffee companies. They're
not competitors actually.
But that would be like
habitual though.
Yeah,
like when people are going to go grab something like that.
That's the category that you're in. You're not in
beverage,
cookies
customized
or
beverage.
desserts.
That's right.
You're in drinks.
Yeah, because we're going to drink something every day.
Different segment of drinks, but drinks.
Yeah. I don't have to eat a cookie. I have to drink.
Yeah, super cool. I mean, we could literally go all day. I've got so many questions.
We'll do a part 2.
We should do a part 2.
Yeah.
Should do one with
we
Shauna.
We do one with Shauna and Chelsea.
Yeah, and but I do have a couple questions before we wrap. Talk to me about who was the leader or who was the person that's influenced your career the most? When you look back over 30 years, 25, 30 years, who is the person or the people that you say that person had the biggest influence on trajectory of my career? The way I thought, the way I operated, decisions I made.
Yeah. People have asked me that a lot of times, and I don't know if there's been the one person other than a group of people. I feel like nowadays where like what you and Chelsea did at UVU, which I love what you did, it didn't exist, right? Anything entrepreneurial, not having someone like a Casey to come in and say, let me tell you about the grind and all the things that I did and let me learn from Casey Ball. That didn't exist. And so Shauna and I just doing one at BYU at the entrepreneurship college and doing an interview. We do those because it didn't exist and I couldn't go to anything like that. I didn't get advice from anyone.
Yeah.
So when you ask me that, it's hard for me because when I was a younger 20 and 30 something entrepreneur, I just had to figure it out. I didn't have a lot. I watched people and tried to pattern match, but there wasn't a single person. But as I got a little bit further in my career after being kind of just young and dumb and just trying, because those resources didn't exist in the latter 90s, early 2000s, it became more prevalent in kind of the mid 2000s. It was definitely the Fraser Bullocks.
Fraser.
Yeah, I've known him for 15 years or longer, and he was going to make an investment in my company a couple times, and we always would just sit down and talk, and I would ask him for advice. For hell's sakes, I called him like last week and asked him for some advice.
Wow.
Still.
He's just wise, isn't he?
Just so wise, and he's so calm, and he thinks through things methodically. I think the thing I've learned from him is there's always a way to figure something out. Yeah. Whether it's good or bad, the outcome, meaning it's not what you think, there's a way to figure out how to take the next step.
To work through it.
Yeah, and so I've been really appreciative of Fraser. I'm good friends with him and a neighbor, actually. We live up in Three Falls together.
Yeah.
But he's phenomenal. I've loved him. I've learned a ton from Greg Warnock. I mean, he's an incredible mind from an investor standpoint. Probably one of the greatest savants of just structuring deals. Yeah, he's just a deal structure. Operator from an operator standpoint. I haven't really looked at anybody from an operator standpoint because I'm just still trying to figure it out. I mean, every day I'm going to learn it all. I'm going, well, that didn't work. I guess what are we going to do to pivot next year in 2026? So I feel like I'm always learning. And when people ask me, I'm telling them, like, listen, this is what I'm doing, but go out and try your own thing too.
Yeah.
We do a conference every year called Restaurantology, and you know about it. But I did that because 7 years ago, I'm like, there's nobody out there teaching actually younger entrepreneurs in our industry.
Yeah.
Nobody. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. And so I pay for it all. I put it on.
It's incredible.
It is so much work, Casey. As you know, you've done events with Sandlot. It's so much work, right, to do. But when you're done with it, you're like, that was so gratifying and fulfilling that I did that to help others. So that's what we do to give back as well. But I would say for sure, at the top of my list, it's always been the last, especially 15 to 18 years has been Fraser Bullock.
Yeah.
For me.
Super cool. Talk to me about faith. You've talked about how it's, how it affected you growing up.
Yeah.
Talked about your mission. Talk to me about faith and kind of how that fits. You've got kids on missions.
Yeah.
I know it's so intimate and so different for everybody. Like, how where does that fit in your life with you and Shauna? And also, like,
Yeah, Shauna and I married now 26 years, have a 25-year-old son. He's married, so we have a daughter-in-law. I think I actually like my daughter-in-law more than my son. I'm just kidding. I love them both. My son's amazing, and it's been fun to watch them create their lives together as well, around faith as well. My son's on a mission. So our family is our central core is God. I mean, we are fully active in our faith. And I think one of the things that I've learned even in the last 3 months that I wish I would have learned earlier and in a different experience. I've always been very confident to have in the business world, traveling around the world, to talk about my faith and my relationship with God. It's just been so comfortable for me. But I would only do it if the question was inbound to me.
Yeah,
if someone asked
you
me.
You weren't proactive with it.
I wasn't proactively looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
And I had an experience where I interviewed Charlie Kirk the day that he was killed, right before he came down to UVU. And as I got to know him 3-4 months prior to that, and then talked to him that day, the one thing that was so impressive to me is he's not of my faith, but he's God-fearing as well, and God's important to him and his family, is that he just wore it on a sleeve. He didn't care what people would think if he would bring up God in a sentence or in a conversation.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, good. Now, he's 31 years old, Casey. I'm 50. And I'm like, he's got more courage than me, I think.
Yeah.
And so surprisingly, Casey, I think the last 3 months, I've been more intentional. I've found ways to bring up my faith. I've found ways to bring up my son serving and what he does and why it's so important to us. I talk more about my relationship with Christ and why faith is so important to me in my life and how I feel like my life has been blessed beyond what my expectations could have ever been because I've kept faith as a central core of my life.
Yeah.
I will tell you right now, I don't think there would be a chance for me to fall away from having faith and being close to my Savior because Shauna would not allow it.
Yeah.
So being married to someone that's going to also drive you toward that as well is important.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's going to be too hard. So for me, it's core and central to my life. It's core and central to the way I run my business. I don't force it on anybody, but it's the principles that I live with that I think make me a better businessman, a better husband, and a better father.
No, Andrew, can't wait to kind of continue this conversation. Like I think just to close, I haven't known you for too long. I've known you from afar.
Yeah.
But I've always admired you. I've always admired, I've had friends who've invested with you in good times and hard times and through different cycles. But I've always admired how you've stayed at hard issues and worked out win-wins. And short-term success and reputation and stuff, that stuff's fickle. It's like,
it is.
But over the course of time, you just kind of learn what people are about. And yeah, as I've just, watched your career from afar, I just really like what you're about. I like what you and Shauna are about. I like your ethos that you go about it. I like your professionalism, but I like how you guys build. And I just, want to say that publicly that I admire the way that you guys have built your business and how you poured kind of your heart and soul, one, into the people that you work with, but also back into the community. And it just, even coming in here today, it's, that's been my experience with you, is just always saying yes when you can say yes and kind of adding value without much expectation of anything in return. Just doing that. So yeah, I just wanted to say that before we finish up.
Thanks, Casey.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Super fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
This podcast is brought to you by Sandlot Partners.